I used to think the worst thing my family could do was overlook me, forget to ask about my day, forget to save me a seat, forget to include me in a photo. For a long time, I told myself that was normal. Some people were just background characters in their own families. I didn't realize how wrong I was until the day my sister looked me in the eye and said, with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, "You don't belong at my wedding." She thought it was just a cruel joke. She thought I'd swallow it, like I always did. She had no idea that sentence would drag everything into the light. And she definitely didn't expect the lawyer, or the papers, or the fact that the sister she was trying so hard to erase was the one holding everything up. My name is Emma. I'm 42, single, no kids, the reliable one in the family. The one you call when your car breaks down or you need money just until payday. I work as an HR manager for a mid-sized logistics firm. Stable, responsible, invisible. My younger sister, Lily, is 35, beautiful in that polished Instagram filter way. She plans luxury events for a living. Her hair is always perfect, her nails always done, her life always presented like a curated highlight reel. Our parents adore her. They love me too, I suppose, in the way you love the old chair in the corner that's always there when you need it, but never the centerpiece of the room. When Lily got engaged to Daniel, a corporate lawyer from a wealthy family, the house turned into a wedding factory. There were fabric swatches on every surface, cake samples in the fridge, group chats about floral themes, and tasks. Endless tasks. Emma, you're good with numbers. Can you manage the guest list spreadsheet? Emma, you don't mind picking up the suits, do you? You're going that way anyway. Emma, can you talk to the venue about their cancellation policy? Just in case. They said it like I didn't have a life of my own. Like my time didn't cost me anything. Like my purpose existed in the margins of their big moments. At first, I played along. I've always been the calm one, the fixer, the one who keeps peace. I told myself this is what family does. We show up, we help, we make things easier. But something in the tone had changed. It showed up in small ways. At one Sunday dinner, my aunt asked, "So Emma, are you seeing anyone these days?" Before I could answer, my mother said lightly, "Oh, Emma's very independent. Not everyone needs a partner. She's married to her work." My father chuckled. "At least one of our daughters will keep us from starving in old age." Everyone laughed. I smiled. I've learned how to smile without letting it reach my eyes. Later that night, I stood at the sink, washing dishes while Lily scrolled on her phone. Without looking up, she said, "You're not offended, are you? About the independent thing?" I shrugged. "It's not new," she giggled. "Well, it's true. Some people are made for romance. Some people are stable, reliable." She turned then, studying my face. "We all have our roles, Em, our roles." Like a script someone else had written. The wedding invitations arrived on a Wednesday. Heavy cream paper, gold foil lettering, the kind of thing people keep in boxes for decades. Mine came in the mail, even though I lived 20 minutes away. I sat at my kitchen table, turning the envelope over in my hands for a long moment before opening it. My name looked beautiful in calligraphy. For a second, my heart softened. Then I read the card. "You are cordially invited to the wedding of..." Date, time, venue. Dress code, black tie. Request to arrive 15 minutes early. And at the bottom, in a smaller font, almost like a disclaimer, "Due to limited capacity, reception attendance will be restricted to the couple's closest friends and family circle. We kindly request your presence at the ceremony only." I read it again. Ceremony only. My chest went cold. Not dramatic, just a slow chill spreading through my ribs. I flipped the card, checked the envelope, looked for another insert. Nothing. I called my mother. "Hey, I just got the invitation," I said, trying to keep my voice even. "Is there another card I'm supposed to get? About the reception?" She hesitated. That tiny pause told me everything before she even spoke. "Well, darling, the reception is very intimate," she said. "Daniel's family is quite large, and they have a lot of important guests. We couldn't fit everyone." "But I'm not everyone," I said quietly. "I'm her sister." "That's not fair," she scolded. "Of course you're important. You'll be at the ceremony. That's the meaningful part. The reception is just noise." "Then why am I not allowed at the noise?" I asked. "Emma," she sighed. "You know Lily gets stressed. She needed to prioritize people she's closer to. Don't make this about you. This is her moment. Don't make this about you." The story of my life. I hung up before my voice broke. That night I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The word capacity playing in my head like a broken record. Limited capacity. For the venue? Or for me? My mind wandered to other conversations. My father joking about leaving the house to the one who actually gives us grandchildren. My mother's vague answers whenever I asked about their will. The way Lily's voice hardened whenever money came up. Something ugly whispered in the back of my mind. What if the wedding wasn't the only place you were being cut out of? A week later, I got an email that made the whisper louder. From Robert Collins. Subject: Estate documents. Request for meeting. Mr. Collins had been our family lawyer for years. He handled my grandparents' estate, my parents' wills, boring paperwork I'd never bothered to understand. Seeing his name in my inbox made my stomach knot. I met him 2 days later in his cramped office downtown, full of dark wood, old books, and the faint smell of coffee and paper. He stood as I walked in. "Emma," he said, shaking my hand. "Thank you for coming." I sat across from him. My palms were damp. "What's going on?" I asked. He took off his glasses, rubbed the bridge of his nose, then put them back on and opened a folder. "I wish this was a routine check-in," he said, "but I'm afraid it isn't." He slid a document toward me. "This is a copy of your parents' will from 5 years ago. You and Lily are listed as equal beneficiaries to the house, savings, and some investments your grandparents left. Are you aware of that?" I nodded. "They've said that 1,000,000 times. We'll make sure you girls are taken care of." "Right," he said. "Now, this is an amendment they requested 3 months ago." He slid another paper over. Certain lines were highlighted. "This reduces your share of the house and investments, increasing Lily's portion. You're still included, but less." I swallowed. "They didn't tell me. They weren't obligated to," he said gently. He took a breath. "And this," he added, sliding the third document forward, "is an amendment I refused to process last month." The air felt thicker. "What does it do?" I asked. "It removes you entirely," he said. "Everything, house, savings, investments, is left to Lily. You receive a small fixed amount, essentially symbolic." I stared at the page. The words blurred. "I assumed you were aware," he added, "until I examined the signature." He tapped the line that said Margaret Hart, my mother's name. "This isn't your mother's handwriting," he said softly. "I've seen her signature for 20 years. It's a clever imitation, but it's not hers. And the email with the request came from Lily's personal account, not your parents'." I felt like I was watching my life from above. My voice sounded far away. "You're saying my sister tried to forge our mother's signature to erase me from their will?" He held my gaze. "Yes." I laughed once. A short, humorless sound. "Of course she did." He frowned. "Emma, it's fine," I said automatically. The old reflex. Minimize. Smooth. Don't make trouble. Then I stopped. "It isn't fine." Something inside me whispered. "I'm not surprised," I said more quietly. "Just tired." He folded his hands. "Legally, the forgery makes the Second Amendment invalid. The last valid plan still stands, with your equal share. I've documented everything. If anyone tries this again, there's a trail." "And if they find another lawyer?" I asked. "Then we fight," he said simply. "But for now, you're protected." I nodded slowly. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked. "Why not wait?" He hesitated, then chose his words carefully. "Because your sister's attempt to exclude you from the reception, from what I understand, is part of a pattern. People don't usually try to erase heirs they respect." He leaned back. "And because this wedding is being paid for, in significant part, by assets tied to the estate, I thought you should know that while you're being treated like an outsider, your inheritance is being used for their celebration." I felt a cold clarity settle in my chest. "The engagement party?" I asked. "The venue deposits? The decorator?" He nodded. "All billed through a family account funded by your grandparents' investments. Legally, it belongs to both of you. They were using my share of the money to throw a party I wasn't welcome at. A little piece of me that had always made excuses for them finally snapped, not with anger, with decision. "What can I do?" I asked quietly. He studied me for a long moment, like he was measuring something in my expression. "We can formalize protections around your portion of the estate," he said. "Set of the trust in your name that can't be altered without your consent. I could explain all the details, but you're paused." He paused. "Do you wish to attend the wedding?" "Yes," I said. The answer surprised even me. "I do." He nodded slowly. "Then I'd like your permission to be there too." "At the wedding?" I raised an eyebrow. "Over reception," he corrected, "as your counsel." I thought about Lily's invitation. Ceremony only. I thought about that forged signature. I thought about all the times I'd swallowed hurt to keep the peace. "Fine," I said. "Come to the reception." A small smile ghosted across his face. "I was hoping you'd say that." The day of the wedding, the sky was unreal. Clear, blue, the sun shining like it didn't know better. I protecting on a long slate blue dress. Simple jewelry, low heels, nothing loud. I thought at myself in the mirror and saw someone I recognized, but hadn't met in a long time. A woman with tired eyes, yes, but this with a spine. At the venue, people glittered, champagne flowed. Cameras flashed. Lily floated around in lace and crystals, perfect of glowing. When you saw me for the ceremony, her smile was bright, with thin. "You made it," she said. "I said I would," I replied. "Just remember," she adding, lowering her voice, "don't follow everyone you reception hall away after you're at the door." My chest flinched, but I held her gaze. "Don't worry," I said calmly. "I won't do anything to make you uncomfortable." She has a passive hug, the words in twit conversation to vows, tears, a kiss, applause. I face moved it with everyone else. My professional, my hearts. I stood behind the your past, watching Lily photos, the new husband, the your words, the decision in-laws. Someone an elderly account with patas in your eyes with, "You must happy of your due." I saw the your account coordinator gather people toward the hall. "Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be starting with your reception shore cross. You're protecting with this 2 topics inside. The books towards the open doors. Eye-kissing where this one. I quit the composites, the watching, the tracing. But empathy who never for trouble at your mother's protecting across with your waters interned. Mr. Collins stood a few steps away in a neat dark suit, his brief toward the words. The coordinator smiled professionally. "Good evening. May I see your name with the seating chart?" "Emma Hart," I said. She ran past the lips, then watching. "Sorry, you're not listed for the 2 topics, just the setting." Her protections with polite, but I felt eyes on me from the people gathering their escort cards. To I could respond. Mr. Collins stepped slightly forward. "Robert Clients," he said, handing her a card. "Family, I need speak with immediately, please." The concert, the air shift. "Of course," she said, flustered. "I'll get them. We with you're the doors. The 2 of Spen, crystal chandeliers, tall lowering arrangements, tables set like magazine spreads. Laughter bounced off the history. My mother appeared first, my father behind her, trying to smile like everything was normal. "Robert," she said, a little breathless. "What a surprise. Is something wrong?" Lily and Daniel came up a moment later, Daniel's hand resting lightly at the small of her back. "Mr. Collins?" Lily said, anxiety flickering in her eyes. "Is there a problem with the paperwork?" "This really isn't." He raised a hand gently. "You're right," he said. "This isn't an ideal moment. Unfortunately, your recent choices didn't leave me many better ones." Her eyes darted to me, then back to him. "What choices?" He set his briefcase on a nearby side table and opened it. "I'll be brief," he said, his voice carrying just enough to reach the nearest tables. Conversations began to quiet. "There have been several attempted changes to your parents' estate plan in the last 3 months. One valid, one fraudulent." My father stiffened. "Robert, we can talk about this in private. This isn't the time." "Normally I'd agree," he said. "But when a beneficiary is being publicly treated as if she has no place in a family event funded by estate assets, while privately being erased on paper, I consider that relevant to my duty of care." He took out 3 sets of papers, placing them in front of my parents. "This is your original will," he said. Equal distribution to both daughters. This is the later amendment, adjusting some allocations, but still with both included. And this, he held up the third, is the one I refuse to process, the one removing Emma entirely, signed, supposedly by Margaret. Submitted from Lily's personal email, the word removing hung in the air like smoke. Guests nearby had fully stopped talking now. The band, unsure, softened their music to a background hum. My mother stared at the signature, her face draining. "I never signed this," she whispered. "I know," he said quietly. He took out another envelope. "Given the forgery, I informed you that I would not process any controversial changes without both of your direct consent and a third-party witness. You didn't respond. Meanwhile, more wedding invoices continued to be paid from the joint family account funded largely by your late parents' investments bequeathed in equal part to Emma and Lily." He turned, addressing the four of them now. "Legally, Emma is not an outsider. She is an equal heir. Morally," he glanced around the room, "I suppose everyone here can draw their own conclusions." Color flooded Lily's cheeks. "You're making this sound so dramatic," she stammered. "It was just estate planning. Daniel said it would be simpler if—" "Don't drag me into this," Daniel muttered under his breath, jaw tight. "It was going to be discussed after the wedding," my mother hissed. "This is not the place. It became the place," Mr. Collins said evenly. "When one daughter was told she didn't belong at a reception partially funded by her inheritance, while the other attempted to delete her from the will entirely. That's not estate planning. That's exploitation." Lily suddenly looked very young, very small. Her eyes snapped to me. "You did this," she whispered. "You brought him here. You're trying to ruin my wedding." For a second, old Emma wanted to apologize, to say, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean," but that Emma was the reason we were here. I met her gaze, my voice quiet but steady. "You erased me on paper," I said. "You told me I didn't belong at your wedding. All I did was stop cooperating with my own disappearance." You could hear the clink of a fork somewhere in the back. My father cleared his throat. "Emma, we always intended to provide for you," he said quickly. "We just thought Lily would need more. She's starting a family." "You thought my stability meant I didn't feel hurt," I replied. "That my independence meant I didn't need respect." My mother's eyes glistened. "We were going to talk to you." "You were going to talk to me. After I'd watched you celebrate with money we were both supposed to inherit," I said softly. "After your other daughter had me turned away at a door." I took a breath. It felt like the first full breath I'd taken in months. Mr. Collins cleared his throat gently. "For the record," he said, "I have already moved Emma's share of the estate into a protected trust in her name. Going forward, no family funds tied to that trust can be used without her consent. I've also filed notes regarding the forgery and the attempted amendment. If any further questionable actions are taken, I will have to consider notifying the court." Lily stared at him. "So that's it?" she said hoarsely. "She has control over everything now?" "No," he said calmly. "She has control over her share. The same share she's always had. The only thing that's changed is that you can't touch it behind her back." Silence spread in waves across the room. People tried not to look, but they did. I suddenly felt very, very tired. "This doesn't need to become more of a spectacle," I said quietly. "You've heard what you needed to hear. I'm not going to argue with you in front of strangers." I looked at Lily one last time. "You could have just told me you were jealous, or angry, or whatever this is," I said. "Instead, you chose to pretend I didn't exist. I can live with you hating me, Lily. I can't live with me disappearing to make you comfortable." Her eyes filled with tears, but she said nothing. My mother whispered, "Can we talk later?" "Maybe," I said. "When you're ready to talk to me as a person, not a problem." I turned to Mr. Collins. "We're done here, right? For tonight." "Yes," he said. "The rest can be handled in my office, in daylight." I nodded, then turned and walked toward the exit. No one stopped me. No one told me not to make a scene. Daniel watched me go, something like shame flickering across his face. As I reached the doorway, the band started playing again, as if someone had given a signal. The noise rose behind me, trying to pretend nothing had happened, but it had, and nothing was the same. Outside, the air was cool, a little sharp. I stood under a tree and exhaled, feeling my shoulders drop. Mr. Collins joined me a moment later. "You did well," he said. "I feel like I've been scraped raw," I admitted. "That's what truth feels like sometimes," he said gently. "Uncomfortable, exposed, but clean." I almost laughed. "Clean? You just announced my family drama to half the Sood." He surprised a little. "You'd be surprised how many of those people recognized what they were seeing. You're not the only one with a golden child sibling and parents who think silence equals consent." We stood there for a moment, watching the windows glow. "I didn't want revenge," I said quietly. "I just wanted to stop being the only one paying the price for keeping peace." "That's not revenge," he replied. "That's self-respect." I went home that night to my small apartment over the coffee shop. I took off the dress, hung it carefully, made myself a cup of tea, and sat on the sofa in my oldest pajamas. My phone buzzed relentlessly. I let it. In the morning, I finally looked. A series of messages from my mother. "You embarrassed us. You humiliated your sister. We could have handled this privately. Call me." A short one from my father. "We need to discuss this like adults." And from Lily, "I will never forgive you for what you did to me. You ruined my wedding. You made me look like a monster." I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I replied to her, "I didn't ruin your wedding. I just stopped hiding what you already were doing. Monsters hate mirrors." I muted the context. Weeks passed. Life continued. Work, emails, groceries, laundry. The usual rhythm, except something inside me had shifted permanently. I no longer jumped to say yes to everything. I no longer accepted, "You're so strong. You don't mind, right?" as an excuse for using me. My parents asked to meet. We sat in a neutral cough, the three of us around a small table. I tried to explain. It was about practicality. It was about Lily's future children. It was about not wanting their assets tied up in two directions. "It felt like you were choosing her over me," I said simply. "We thought you didn't need us," my mother whispered. "I didn't need your money," I corrected. "I needed to know you saw me as your daughter, not your backup plan." They had no easy answer for that. We didn't solve everything in one sitting. This isn't that kind of story. There was no group hug, no swelling music. But a boundary appeared that day, solid and invisible, and I chose to stand on my side of it. Lily and I barely spoke. She sent me a photo months later, her and Daniel in their living room, holding a sonogram picture. No caption. I stared at it, then typed back, "I hope you teach your child that love doesn't require erasing anyone." She never replied. I don't know if we'll ever fix what's broken between us. Some fractures don't heal. They just become part of the shape. But here's what did heal. My relationship with myself. The part of me that believed being quiet made me good. The part that thought being strong meant accepting whatever people did in the name of family. The part that confused disappearing with love. Now, when I think about that wedding, I don't see the moment I walked out. I see the moment I walked in. Not as the extra chair, not as the emergency contact, not as the name they crossed off the reception list, as the woman who finally realized that belonging is not something other people grant you. It's something you refuse to surrender. Sometimes justice isn't loud or cinematic or satisfying in the way movies like to show. Sometimes justice is as simple as this. You stop letting people spend your life, your time, your money, your heart, as if it costs you nothing. You draw a line. You say quietly, "Enough," and you let them live on their side of that line, with their choices, while you walk forward, alone if you have to, but no longer erased. Because in the end, the most powerful revenge is not ruining someone else's story. It's finally writing your own.